what was the turning point in regards to that made me change my direction and path in life, where I wanted to actually commit my life to working in the community and trying to make a change to empower Detroiters and everybody across the country? Well, that's kind of I would say that question is condensed for me, because it wasn't one particular event in my life. It was pretty much a conglomerate of different things that led to me wanting to make a difference and a change in the community. Since growing up, I grew up in District 6 over there on Oregon Street between Beechwood and Ironwood, which is close to Southwest Detroit. I grew up in a very impoverished neighborhood, 48204, which is what they say is the most dangerous zip code in the city of Detroit. But I got to experience a level of a community where we were very tight-knit. There was a lot of boys and men in my neighborhood, so we hung out in packs. And what I noticed is that taught me a certain level of unity growing up in that neighborhood. So I understood that it was somewhat dynamic in other places. When I moved out when I was 15, I started to see different things, and I experienced racism my first time in Taylor, Michigan, when I went to a high school and a teacher called me the N-word mistakenly, and that was the first time, because I kind of grew up in a homogeneous society, so I was pretty much sheltered from that experience. But I would say what made me change my path is several different events in my life. I used to sell drugs in my early 20s. I sold drugs out of town. I seen the impacts and the effects of that. So I had many low points in my life. What led me to selling drugs was a low point. I was looking for jobs. I couldn't necessarily find any employment. I didn't necessarily have anybody to teach me how to become an entrepreneur. In fact, unfortunately, I've learned how to be an entrepreneur from selling drugs, because when I sold drugs, it was the first experience that I had of making money independently and not depending on another job. So I learned a certain level of self-sustainability. It actually, unfortunately, in a negative way, it gave me the confidence where I feel like I can produce money on my own. So I reached a low point when I got locked up my third time. So the first time I got locked up, you know, it was and then the second time I got locked up, I wanted to be done with it. But then I got encouraged to go back to it from some colleagues. And when I did it the third time, that was the wake-up call for me. And I end up going to school, and I wanted to go to school. And even when I went into school, and I went into the school, it was a different institution. I seen the segregation in the schools. I seen the Indians stick with the Indians. I seen the Arabs stick with the Arabs. And I seen even whites, elitists, stick with whites. But I seen blacks scattered, and we wasn't sticking together. So even in the college institution, it was separated. And I've been at different colleges. I went to U of T, Texas, Austin, Texas, which was a elite school. I went to University of Oakland, also went to Lewis Business, and I then finally landed at Wayne State, which was the last college that I attended. And guess what all they had in common? All of it was segregation. It's the same thing you see in prison as well. And prison is very segregated. So what it taught me is that anything that is vital and that's important to the sustainability of a race, and they take it serious, and it's about their life, everything is segregated. School is when you're supposed to be getting your career and your opportunity. It's a very important point in your life where it's determining what your outcome is going to be. And prison is a survival mode. You're in survival, you're in risk for your life. These two institutions are diametrically on the different ends of the pole. However, they do share a commonality, which is segregation. So that was another thing that raised my eyebrow. But I hit many low points in life, from poverty, from self-esteem, from status quo, many different variations of low points in life, which many African Americans share. So there's so many to name. I can go on all day. There's not one with me. There's not a absolute. I had influences in my life, the Allen's family, people from prison, different books, the biography of Malcolm X, Marcus Garvey, philosophies, Pale White Horse, Dr. Lila Africa, Holistic Healing. And also just actually sensing that something is wrong in the community. You wonder why certain other races, ethnicities may be doing better than you economically and socially and have certain privileges and preferential treatment. One asks the question, why is things the way they are? Why is my neighborhood so, messed up? Why is it so, catastrophic? Why are these things are the way they are? These are questions that are lurking in my mind that needs answers to. And when you do the research and when you understand the mentality that you've had, and then when you also understand some of the manifestation of some of the self-hate that has manifested and has been perpetuated throughout your whole life by outside mechanisms, then you start to have a different point of view. And then you understand, when you have this certain level of consciousness, that you can no longer continue throughout your day and life to do the same stuff that you normally done before you were conscious or quote unquote woke. So it's a moral responsibility that I have, because in fact, I know, I understand that we're not truly free. And once a person gets a taste of what freedom is like, or gets a glimpse of what freedom could be like, it's like a first hit of a person doing some kind of drugs. It becomes an addiction, and you want to actually achieve and get that true freedom.